You guys, I am so excited to have our next guest back. It is he's part of the Three Timers Club now. He's been on So Bad It's Good 3 times. And I tell you, like, it is so funny. My friend Marissa, I'm so shy about reaching out to people. And Jared is one of those people that people will be like, get Jared back on. And I've heard that for like last year, but I don't try to, you guys know at this point, I'm like, really, I don't try to like bug people, you know. I always think it's like bugging them. And Marissa's like, should I ask? And I was like, yeah, go ahead, ask. And he was like, yeah, I want to come back on. Let's do this. Now, Jared Lipscomb is just he's a triple threat. I mean, one of the best makeup artists. I mean, like just out there. He's actually a leukemia survivor, one of the funniest people you're going to meet, a good friend, and we're going to get into how good of a friend in a second. But also, he was monumental in the Free Britney movement and all of this stuff that happened that led to Britney getting out of the conservatorship, which I do want to get an update on all things Britney, because we share a lot of similar opinions about Britney, and I think we get it wrong still in a lot of ways. And it is interesting, and we see this now, especially with Scandoval, how public opinion can really turn on the flip of a dime, where we judge every moment because every moment is filmed in some capacity, or a TikTok is made, or an Instagram post, and it's very interesting. So anyways, without further ado, Jared Lipscomb, welcome back to the show.
Oh, it feels so bad and so good to be here, Ryan Bailey. I always try to do like some cute catchphrase with your
You did
name,
it.
I can never
You
do
could have
it.
just said so bad, period. It feels so bad to be back here. Now,
It feels
Jared,
so good.
Jared is in bed right now, which is literally my dream place to be, because you got a new hip. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's kind of the final healing process of my going on 4-year leukemia to stem cell transplant cancer survivor journey. And so this hip replacement was due to some side effects of the chemo. You know, intense therapies can cause some deterioration in joint areas. And that's what happened to me. So I got a brand new hip, and now the pain is slowly subsiding. I do have to kick it up from time to time. Hence, I'm in bed for this, which is kind of iconic because I get to do a lot of things from bed these days. So,
well, I will say this is not the first time you and hip have been used in the same sentence. I always think of you as very hip, and but now you got a new hip. But has that process been? I mean, listen, you struggled through leukemia, and we've been on your journey with that in the first episode that you were on with this, and it really is just this kind of really inspiring journey. And you do a lot of work with the Be the Match, which I'm going to put the links to on the show description. But what is I feel like you're used to going to war with your own body, like with your own body.
Totally.
And you're speaking of Britney, talking about body autonomy, but you've really fought to be healthy and fought. And what is it like with the hip? Is it just another thing of like, listen, this is what life threw at me, let's go?
You know, that's a good question. It's definitely a balance. People assume that it's a very positive thing because it's like, oh, this is nothing compared to what you've been through. But it was my first surgery. So I still had a lot of things to get used to, you know, like getting your skin cut open and all that gross, disgusting stuff was new for me. So it was still very hard and different. But yes, once you're in this kind of space of like, it's just kind of like, okay, I'm seeing it as the shore, you know, I'm on the boat and there's the shore, and this is one step closer to the shore. Because really this hip pain that I was dealing with, it was dead tissue. So it was painful every day. Even if I was lying around, there was no nerves. It was just bone on bone. So not to have that pain alleviated, listen, I can take a little scar tissue pain and, some other stuff. And if I have to take it slow, I go hard a couple nights and then I get mad at myself because I'm in bed for a few days. I'm still learning all that balance. But overall, it's been really kind of, I feel like this is like the final step into my new chapter of like kind of post-cancer. I just turned 35. And so, so
how dare you be this young still? How dare
Yes, I feel like this is my new start. So I'm feeling good.
Okay. So before we get to the Britney and all of it all, I don't know if you're aware, Jared, of this thing called Scandoval. And I think you might be. The reason I think you might be is that you are one of Ariana Madix, of course, one of her really, really, really good friends. And listen, if I open up page 6 and I see paparazzi photos, I see you in a lot of these paparazzi photos with Ariana. I see you. I see Logan Cochran, one of our buddies. Really, and this is what I always say on the show, is that Ariana truly does have these amazing people around her. And I want to clarify, not like people on the show are great too, but she has a very real set of people around her that kind of protect her, with her, make her laugh, all of these things. And I believe you're one of these people. And even so much so, I guess we'll start here, is that we're going to go through the reunion and you have a really funny story, but I do want to talk about after the reunion that was filmed on Thursday, you guys went to Laurel Tavern in the Valley, and there was this video. I was recording a Vanderpump episode, and my friend Megan texted me, and she was there, and then I saw this video of you guys. It looked like Entertainment Tonight was on, and there was a picture of Rachel, whatever we're calling her, and everybody was like, F you, and like, and everybody was celebrating. I mean, everybody was tagged. You had Katie there, you had Jax there, you had you there, you had Logan there, and it seemed like so much love, and it was this moment that kind of went viral. But you were telling me a little bit of the behind the scenes of that moment, because it is interesting what I was talking about earlier, just people assuming the worst of like, well, it's gone too far. Everybody's just flipping off Raquel. Can you take us in that moment?
Sure. So we had gotten out, after the reunion, it's always been since I started doing glam with the girls back after season 6 or 7 or whenever I joined somewhere
with the Vanderpump Rules girls.
With the Vanderpump Rules cast, yes. And the first thing you need to know is they're a tight-knit group of people. I think I talked about it on one of your episodes way back when. It's like, it took me, I started doing Brittany and Kristen's makeup because they were in their BFF era. I mean, they still are, but like on the show.
Their era.
But
like Taylor Swift's eras. Taylor Swift eras
these days. But they were in that era, so they were doing everything together because they so close together. And so I was doing their glam, and it took forever to get, it's just a very guarded, close group of people. They're very protective of their space because when you're in this weird position of kind of like unexpectedly becoming famous for being Lisa Vanderpump's waiters, it's just a weird thing. So that is my preface, is that after these reunions, it's kind of like this thing where not everyone always meets up, but oftentimes it's kind of like this, like, you hash it out. And if it's really bad, like I remember one year, of course, James and Raquel coincidentally weren't invited to anything with us because they were the personas non gratis or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But so we met up for like kind of drinks and whatever. And it was, the crew, Scheana, Ariana, Katie, and all of our friends, of course, Logan and Brad, which are like two of Ariana's BFFs.
Best friends,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and Logan's like, so yeah, that's why you always see him with, we all have our GBFF and like all the girls have their gays and stuff, and that's like Ariana's main gay. And so we were just all hanging out, kind of kiki and talking about it, and just really it was different this year because we just were like, this is going to be so hard on Ariana that we just need to plan to be around and support her. And this is something that always happens anyways after a reunion. Like everyone goes out. Even before I was doing makeup for them, they would do this. And
Jared, isn't it crazy too? At that Thursday, it had been 3 weeks since all of this broke open. And this was like, I mean, we're still going to have to go through all of the episodes and all of this stuff, but it was 3 weeks leading up to the reunion. All of this stuff kept going crazy, information coming out. So yes, it must have been a huge relief for Ariana and everybody around her that she had gotten, or they had gotten through this part of it, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a very eloquent and concise way of exactly saying what was accomplishing. It wasn't just the normal post reunion, like, let's go hash it out and talk about like, the crazy shit, whatever that was, the insults that were. This was very real, very insane, very just it's a traumatic experience. And I'm not on here to, try to like get publicity off Ariana's pain.
That's the other thing that kills me, is that like you guys are like, they were like, well, everybody's just making, or even me, I get that. Oh, you're just wanting to talk. I'm like, dude, I was talking Vanderpump Rules before anybody. Like I was talking Vanderpump Rules 5 years. Like, this is the show I love, but I also love Ariana, and I used to love Tom, but you were friends. Like they are part of your lives.
Yeah,
a lot of these casts are part. You didn't even watch the show at first, dude.
Well, yeah, I know. And it's just one of those things, because I was working at a restaurant at the same time in 2012 or 2011 when, they were filming. Yeah. So I couldn't afford cable to watch it. But yeah, it's very true. It takes this form of, there's so many weird layers to it that you have to like deal with. It's like, okay, my main concern is Ariana's, I can relate to a breakup, especially I call them the gut punch types of breakups, the ones you don't expect, the ones where you're kind of, blindsided in a really awful way. So I relate to that with Ariana. I had, when I was diagnosed with cancer, and this is my ex left me 2 months into my leukemia and then told me he meant to do it 6 months earlier before I was sick, but things just got too hectic. And then
interesting. I think we've heard something like that before from somebody.
And then his biggest upset was the first thing he said to me after our breakup was, why were all my famous friends unfollowing him? So I was like, oh, they don't want to be your friend because, and of course, you don't have to stay with someone because they have cancer. Obviously in a 3-year new relationship, whatever, we weren't married, whatever. My point is, all I'm trying to get to is that when I went through that dark phase and I was living on an air mattress because I couldn't walk down the stairs to my bedroom and my ex had moved out and I was waiting in that like 1 week period for my parents to move here, Ariana was there at my apartment driving to Koreatown, doing little TikTok videos when TikTok was still just a dance app, and she was there for me. Then when my new apartment in North Hollywood, I moved over in North Hollywood to be closer to Ariana, to be closer to Brittany and Kristen and my girls who supported me, and later Janet, who I'd become close friends with. So that's the part that I really want to drill home, is that like we are like, not just me and Ariana, but like the people who ride for Ariana, she is one of those friends who shows up for you. She's shown up for Logan. She's shown up for any one of these friends that people say, say good or bad things about. She's shown up for them. And so
she's shown up for me.
Her.
She's shown up for me. Like, it's why, like, I'm just telling you, really good person. Man. But even that's what I'm saying. Like you guys, like you and Janet, like I remember you dog sitting for them. I remember you, like you in the house, you dog.
Yeah.
Like, but so that night though, we get this little 5-second video of like F you, which I was like, hell yeah, get it out. But you say there's even something more to that where the camera started filming at a certain time. But what had happened was that Entertainment Tonight was on.
So there was some game on. We had started at a different place for the after drinks, and they did Last Call. And someone in our friend group. And the other thing is we really are interconnected. People are like, oh my gosh, Jax just showed up there. Jax was at Laurel Tavern before we were with some mutual friends that we had. And so he was already there, and we're just right down the street, and it's like a natural kind of like, if you're in the valley. So it wasn't like, so it was just like, okay. And, we gave Ariana the heads up that Jax was there. At this point, it's kind of like, listen, the more people that are taking down that piece of fucking shit, the better. And as long as Jax isn't doing any of his craziness with being like, Ariana, and he hasn't been, so I'm proud of him and I'm happy for his support. And whatever.
You also said Tom Sandoval came on first, and that's when the booing started. It wasn't like you were just booing at Raquel Rachel.
So the game was ending, and then Entertainment Tonight was starting, and so we were all over the bar. We were in the back tables. We were all over the place, and someone noticed. I think it was Janet. That's bringing her up again. I think it was Janet who said, like, "Oh my God, look at the TV," and it was Tom on the TV, like a close up of him doing like just like one of those videos of a close up of like a Getty image with all the pores. It was like horrifying. He looked like Satan incarnate, and on the screen, on every screen, and we're there with Ariana celebrating the fact that she's finally done with having to deal with this, and that's the first thing we see. So we're like, no fucking way. And we're also drunk, most of us, me, and so we see that. And so by the time people start whipping out their cameras, we're in like a little like of a catching our breath. And then all of a sudden we're waiting for Ariana to be the next person to scream so we can cheer. Yeah. And then it cuts to this extended cut of that girl outside of Four Seasons Landscaping or wherever she was.
Oh yeah. I visited there yesterday, the Lash Bar. It was a very dark force in the air.
Yeah. Nail bar. And that was also Ariana's nail bar before Raquel went and stole another thing, just creepy girl that whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yes.
I gotta be careful. People who come from
yeah. By the way, well, yeah.
But so then they cut to that scene of her doing that TMZ interview, and then everyone was just booing. And so I just have to take the heat for this one. Only I was screaming "fuck you" with the double middle fingers. It was only me. I just kind of assumed we were all screaming "fuck you," but when I watched the video, I realized everyone else is very clearly saying "boo," except for me, who was double middle finger up to the air saying "fuck you, fuck you, fuck you." And you have to remember,
you're like the gay Eminem. You're like, yeah.
But I had been with Ariana all day before the reunion, keeping her calm. I've been with her, not keeping her calm. That's such a infantilization. But you know what I mean? Being there with her to keep things chill and keep things going and keep things flowing. And it's like, it's finally done. She's done with it. And then we get to this bar and we see them, and it's a release of fucking rage to be there with Ariana. She's not crying. She's not upset. She's happy to be done. And for us to all be there together. I mean, we have Scheana, we have Katie, you have Jax in the back. I mean, we're all.
Yeah, you have Doute, I think, was there. You have
Kristen was there. Everybody.
You have Vanderpump, past, future. I mean, I figure
Dana
was
Dana
there.
Was there. Yeah,
Dana from last season.
Dana Kathan was there, and so it's so it was just one of those moments of like, it's like when a sport thing, some straight people sport thing. It was the equivalent of that, but we weren't just fans. It was like if you were there with like the bench player who wanted to win the game or some shit. I don't know the metaphor.
Well, Jared,
but you know what I mean? It's like we were right there with Ariana.
I feel like you keep explaining this thing that to me is very natural, and like what I want to impress to people out there is that, like, you know, everybody's like, oh, take it easy on Raquel, Rachel, something like I've heard that sometimes now. But what I'm saying is that for me personally, and I think you even more so, there's a little bit of personal skin in the game where you're like, F this, like, because it's not a reality show. This is real life. I mean, that's the other thing. People keep going, this is all staged. This is very real life. And you're allowed to stand up for your friends. You're allowed to be very angry at two people that were involved in this. There is nothing that happens. Like maybe you'll settle down a year from now or 6 months from now, maybe like, but you're angry for your friend. This is a very simple, basic thing that we all go through, reality show or not. You're angry for your friend.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter the scale. If any person had a friend, someone they consider one of their closest friends, who also, you just cannot ignore the fact that Ariana just shows up for people. So it's not like you're just showing up for a friend that's like kind of halfway there for you. You're showing up for someone who is always there for you. And the only reason I even spoke to Raquel again was because of Ariana. I apologized to that girl, even though I'm not even on the show.
Wait, Jared. You're telling me you've spoken to Rachel in the last week?
No, not recently. I'm saying the first time I spoke to her after the whole James thing, because, you know, for a while.
James Kennedy.
Yes, yeah. But after all of that, the only reason last year when she got finally, because she got invited back into the group to go, she was at Cruz's birthday at the Couchy's house, and she was like, and I apologized to her because Ariana was like, you know, she's really not as bad. She's got kind of like she was fighting for her, and she was just kind of saying like, you know, and we do know that the Witches of WeHo's kind of like no new friends kind of mindset. I'm very familiar with it. There's a reason why Stassi and Katie were the very last two I've ever done makeup on. You know, because what I told you about that little, you have to work your way into the group kind of vibes. So I gave that girl a benefit of the doubt because of Ariana championing her, because Ariana's such a girl's girl and such a defender of like, you guys, like, because I mean, there's just so much.
Well, that was the thing, dude. Is it so Jared, like that? You're right, though. That was what was so messed up, was that like she was always around them, and Ariana, I was like, and it was like with Tom. Like Tom, we kind of considered a goof, but then Ariana kind of made him somebody cooler than he actually was. Like he kind of made me even rethink my opinion of Tom. And I grew to the point where I loved Tom. I was like, coolest guy ever. He's not a cheater. He goes and does his little weird side projects. They've got a very real I was like really enamored with this dude. Like I keep saying it. Like I was so enamored with this dude and their relationship. And I did see every time, like it was always her. They were always and I thought, wow, that's like a good Samaritan kind of thing of like using Ariana's goodwill to tell people that she's okay. And like, I don't know. So even as a friend, and you don't need to give anything away, but can you tell me were you shocked when you found out this in the first place? Like, you don't like how was you? Cause you like, what was your person? Cause mine was, I didn't believe it, and then I flew into a rage and then a depression. What was your feeling on it when you first heard? Your personal, not anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I was shocked at it because the thing is, around like filming Wrapping, there had been like little things like said by people who didn't like people that were just kind of like, you know, obviously the fangirl thing had already started, and then like the Schwartz, and then it was starting to be weird because that Joe girl, who also randomly did Ariana's hair one time and then claimed to be like her hairstylist and put her on her website, which is so fucking weird, by the way. And she also put me as like her collaborator makeup artist on her website. That Joe girl who's dating.
And you guys, I'm telling you, Joe's Schwartz's special friend.
Yeah, his special friend. It's so fucking creepy. So in hindsight, but so there'd always been some, but you know, they're filming a show, so you always hear stuff being like, and then you're like, well, this is coming from so and so, and it's like they obviously have something against both Raquel and Tom, so blah blah blah. But it was never anything more than like kind of like a hard eye roll, to the point where even like Ariana was aware of it. So now it's fucked up, because it's like, that means they fucking were so collaborative in their lies, the two of them, you know, Scandal.
They had a whole thing going on
that it was so lying that like they, because I, you know, I don't know anything about, you know, but I just know I was absolutely floored and stunned, because it was just so set in our minds, like just even at the first like kind of like suggestion of it, like back in the filming time, you know, when Joe entered the picture, and it was like, wait a minute, if Joe's with Tom, kind of one of those moments. It's like, and then what's Raquel and Tom Sandoval doing there? Are they covering for, you know, it was like one of those, just kind of like one of those things. But then it was all explained away, and it was all good, and you just never thought of it again. And then when on that, you know, I mean, I was texting birthday plans to Ariana on Thursday. I had no idea. And then on Friday I woke up and was just like, you know, and
I mean,
like, holy fucking shit, are you kidding me? What a piece of garbage. What a liar. What a it was just unfucking believable.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When you really trust somebody, and like, you know, it's like, I remember I was arguing with DJ James Kennedy on his Instagram post because he posted that TMZ thing. I was like, why are you doing this to them? They're really nice to you. Not because I just thought it was another rumor. I was like, bullshit. So I was like, this is so messed up, dude. Why are you doing, like, I was so, because I just wouldn't have believed, I really didn't believe it. And then now when it does like more information, you're like, oh, of course, like we all just blindly trusted somebody that kind of went around. Did you like Tom before any of this? Because he was always so nice and so giving and all this stuff.
You know, I want to say, like, I want to be cool and be like, no, I always thought he was a piece of shit. Like like how people say, but like, yeah, of course I liked him. And I think Ariana had a lot to do with that. Just like you said, I think, you know, I adore Ariana, always have and always will, you know, and I think part of that translates to someone you see as such a unified couple, like a unit kind of. So it's like, but I would do his makeup for like his men's grooming, whatever, for his little GQ shoots and all his little stuff that he would do. And I would help with his, you know, men's makeup brand partnership and do videos for them. And, you know, they're really good people. It's, you know, and it's like, you know, who knows now? Now I'm like, damn, is everything about him just a fucking fake act? And he's just one of those people who just wants everyone to like him.
You start questioning things, or like, and I know I can't diagnose anybody, but you're like, is this textbook narcissism? Is this a sociopath? Is this this? Because
let me just say this story. When I was really, really sick with leukemia in 2019, pre-pandemic, I was allowed to have visitors, of course. And as I already mentioned, Ariana was a consistent visitor. You know, so many people. So many of my friends.
So was Jax and Brittany.
Brittany. So Kristen, Stassi, so many people from the show. And obviously all my friends and family. I'm singling out Ariana specifically for the sake of this story. So the one time Tom Sandoval came was when there was going to be a giant rooftop, you know, lovely thing that someone else had planned, kind of like this heart-shaped flash mob type thing, because I couldn't see so many visitors because my immunity was starting to drop. Nothing to do with COVID, pre-COVID. So they were out on the rooftop, and it's so funny to watch this video back, which is probably still on my Instagram from like 2019, because my friends were filming it, and they have like professional equipment kind of, because, you know, it's Hollywood. All my friends have good cameras and stuff unrelated to the show whatsoever. Somehow during the organization of this, Tom Sandoval is the one leading this unification of like, we're doing this for Jared, we're going to make a heart, you know, and I'm watching this video set to like Every Time by Britney Spears, just singing like, what a wonderful friend, you know, and then I realized now in hindsight, that was the only time I had heard from that man throughout my entire experience, except when we had a fundraiser, which Page Six and Bravo TV, and there was all PR for it, which I approved the PR, of course, but that was the only two times that I interacted with him, which I didn't realize until after the fact. And I was like, wait a minute, I saw like even Chrishell during the middle of her thing with Justin Hartley came and visited me, and even, and you know what I mean, like people who were like less, that I would consider less of a friend, and it really just spoke now for my own POV. I'm like, that sums it up. You know, like that kind of sums it up. It's like he was there when there was press and pictures and big old cameras when he saw, and he didn't realize it was just my friend's fancy camera because he, you know, was testing out he's a cinematographer and was just like wanted to capture the moment as a special moment for me in case I didn't see it or whatever. And so, and I just think
he saw a camera.
He saw, and I just think it's an interesting thing to note. And I think it's interesting that, you know, in that time, I saw him those 2 times and I saw Ariana, you know, weekly. So,
well, so take us into the reunion day or before the reunion of the preparation for that, or what was the state of mind? I know you were saying, you know, like you weren't keeping her calm. You're just like being there, chill, having, you know, trying to like keep.
Yeah, I misspoke. But it was more. Yeah, we wanted positive vibes, and you know, we wanted positive vibes. And the thing is, obviously, as a makeup artist, you know, I'm not working still because of all of my little nuances with that come with, you know, post chemo, whatever. But I wanted to be able to help. Glam is my specialty. I know the most random people, and you know how it is. It's like one day you're working with, you know, on a wedding, and the next day someone hits you up on Instagram and you're like doing Beyond Solange's sister for that happened to one of my friends. Like it's the craziest world. And it's like, oh my gosh. So I realized that I was like, well, you know, Ariana was going through it, obviously. And just also she wanted to get away and go to Mexico and enjoy it. And so they were trying to be like, guys, her manager needs to book glam. Like, what do we do? And so I was like, so I'm looking like, okay, you guys, I got this. This is my field. Let me contribute something. You know what I mean? Let me help in the one way that I can. Because I'm not going to be able, you know, I'm not going to be able to like fight Tom, which I would if I could. If I physically could do it, I would. I would beat the fuck.
I think you could do it even with the one hip. I think you could do it even with the one hip.
Maybe. And I would beat the absolute shit. I don't know. We don't condone violence. I would beat the fucking shit out of that motherfucker, allegedly. So anyways, the point is I said, what can I do? What can I do? And so, you know, I know Ariana's like a fan of certain makeups. Like she always will send me be like, oh my God. And our word for makeup is ethereal. We love ethereal makeup. And so she sends me Sydney Sweeney all the time. And like, oh my God, I love Sydney's glam. Oh my God, I know Sydney's makeup artist, I realize. So I'm like, let me surprise Ariana when she comes back from Mexico with Sydney Sweeney's makeup artist. She's out of town with Sydney. Fuck me. What am I going to do? So I'm looking, and I just felt like she deserved someone who hadn't worked on Bravo before. Yeah. That, you know, I felt like for this day, she needed an A-list makeup artist, someone who works with Victoria's Secret models, pop stars, you know, icons. And it dawned on me, oh my God, duh. Chrissy Teigen is a huge Bravo fan, and I'm friends with her makeup artist and BFF, Christine Studden. So I shot her a message because I knew Chrissy Teigen has been very, you know, Team Ariana during all of this. And I just sent her a little message and said, Christine, I know this is like, you know, it's an insulting offer because reality TV. I mean, this lady works with Maren Morris, Haley Steinfeld, Alessandra Ambrosia from Victoria's Secret, and of course, Chrissy. So, but she's such a light, and it's so, no, it makes so much sense why this woman is best friends with Chrissy Teigen. She's so fabulous at makeup, and she's such a joy to be around. And so that was my little way.
You're telling me Chrissy Teigen's makeup artist did Ariana's glam?
Chrissy Teigen's main makeup artist and BFF did Ariana's glam for the reunion. And we said, because I knew I couldn't do justice to what she deserved to look like for it. Like she needed to be an A-lister and have an A-list makeup artist touching her face for that day. And, you know, I'm still shaky from all my meds and everything. So I was so honored that her makeup artist or the makeup artist asked if I would join also to kind of make it more of like a, you know, because she just knew about the, well, we all know what's going on. I mean, you just have to turn on, well, now you can even turn on CNN and find out what's going on.
I mean, that was a question I was going to ask you, but I just wanted to share with you a little tea is that I got the makeup artist who does Ronald McDonald for Tom Sandoval for his reunion makeup. And I just thought he deserved something very clown-like and something very scary. And so I hope that worked out for him. And it turned out he refused it. He went with the all black emo look, which was very exciting for everybody. Did Chrissy Teigen want to get in on this at all? Because I feel like Chrissy is such a fan of reality TV.
So funny. So finally, you know, it was early in the morning and the vibes were immaculate. We had nice music going. Logan showed up with some coffee and his pool culture, hands above the water so they don't get wet.
Guys, he was the waiter that I keep talking about.
The blonde waiter. We love Logan.
Dude, my mom texted me last night and goes, she's watching Vanderpump Rules like to be closer to me, and she's she goes, and Logan was our waiter when I took her to Tom a long time ago, and Logan was the best to my mom, and she'll always be like, Logan's getting a lot of screen time this season. She's like, he did his pool hands.
Oh my gosh. So he showed up, and Bradley Leak, obviously longtime friend, we both started doing glam at the same exact time with the girls doing touch-ups back in season 6 or 7. It was the after show. So I don't know exactly what time frame, but so he was there to do hair. So it just felt like very familial, but also we had this like amazing artist there who then shared that she was like, yeah, I know it's like, I'm not supposed to talk about it. And I'm like, it's like, girl, you work with like the most A-list people, like, but we get it, you know, but she's like, but I did tell Chrissy Teigen that I was coming here today. And we're like,
and Chrissy pops out of a makeup
bag.
And
I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, and then because Ariana, of course, has met her more than I have, which has only been one time. And I'm like, oh my God, Chrissy Teigen. But I just thought it was so cool. And it was so funny because she said, yeah, she was like begging to come assist this morning at like, 7:30 a.m. and be the makeup assistant. And I was like, she just might have too many questions and we need to keep it zen and calm. But I just thought it was so cute and so funny. And, just to see that support, though, from so many people just meant so much, especially like this great makeup artist just being like, oh my God, Ariana, I absolutely. And she just couldn't be, afterwards, she just was like, wow, Ariana's energy is just unbelievable. She's so amazing to be around. Like, she's like, I feel so confused by, the way that like everything that's going on that I'm reading, and then being around her, she's just so, she's just the epitome of strength and warmth and kindness and just all these things. And
I've thought about this for obviously a long time, the last 3 weeks, but I thought about this. I was like, isn't it just such a horrible thing that sometimes we're like, sometimes we own, like, not only, but sometimes we're like pointed in the right direction of seeing somebody's greatness because of a tragedy. Like Ariana's always been great. It's like, that's never changed, but it's like, now I think more people, and that's what I got to think, that it's been so cool. Like if you take away the Sandoval and the Raquel, which I'm glad to do, you're like, please, well, you highlight this amazing person that every time she's like now photographed, even like, outside of her home, she looks gorgeous, which, looks don't really mean shit, but she does. She talks to a TMZ reporter. It's funny. It's quick. It's not snarky. It doesn't feel fake or forced. Mm-hmm. She just booked a Lifetime movie. And by the way, I've always told you, she's been on the show a bunch of times, and we've talked about like Ariana's a really solid actor. And I just think
she's
like
an amazing actor.
But like, how cool that everything is potentially lining up, because after the loss of a 9-year partner, I don't care if it's Tom Sandoval or if it's just, I don't care if you're on a reality show or not. That is a brutal thing to go through. Like, it is a brutal thing, whether, and by the way, Tom's really helped things really far along to really hate him, which I'm not saying Ariana does, but I'm saying he's made it very easy to potentially in some ways write him off, and a lot of us to write him off. But I just imagine like in that space before the reunion, it must have been like Rocky, of just like that really intense, but fun. I mean, I just keep thinking how intense it would be going, knowing you're going to have to face this.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak for Ariana. Yes, I just know our vibes were definitely to not bring in the intensity, because we know when they arrive to the reunion and get changed and get their final touch-ups, which this time they didn't even allow glam there. They only had like a few touch-up artists.
Dude, I would have shit myself.
The touch-up artists didn't even, usually we get monitors in the back and then it's like just with no sound. And it's like, they didn't, I don't think they, I'll have to see. I don't think they had access to anything. Like this set was like shut down. The cast didn't even have their phones.
Well, good. I mean, I feel like they should still have the cast phones. I think they should take them away for the next 3 months. I don't think the cast should be able to have their phones at all. Like, I don't want any. But was it a really intense vibe being there?
I wasn't at the reunion. I was
okay. I thought you said
everyone had to get ready. So they changed it. So the last reunion I worked at in person, but pre-COVID, we got ready out on site at the venue with different makeup artists. Everyone's glam. Some people came ready. Some people I would do on site. There was like 4 or 5 or 6 people getting ready like during that time. This time they did not allow any people on the reunion set. So she had to go, and they're like sealing up the dresses and not showing the looks.
Like she couldn't have support.
It's a amazing.
Okay, so Andy said, this is not like tea. Andy said, well, gosh, this is a revenge dress. You're actually making me rethink of me being gay. Like, so this is what
I'm not saying anything because I don't want to spoil Ariana's moment, but Andy
called it a revenge dress. Andy called it a revenge dress and said, va, 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 voom, zoiks, zoiks. And so it's supposed to be hot. I'm not really into fashion, as you can tell. So, I mean, I'm sure it looks amazing. Also, the last question about this whole situation, or I guess since you've been around her all this time, I know Doty was going around on her podcast and other podcasts and mentioned this one thing about being there when Sandoval came in when everybody was around. Were you there for one of those times? Because I just so awkward. Were you there as well?
Kristen already talked about this.
Yeah, she talked about it on her podcast a couple weeks ago. She talked about when he came in and was like, "You guys all hate me, don't you?" And then her and Ariana's friend from Florida, who's Meredith, had to walk him up or talk to him upstairs. I just didn't know if you were a part of that as well.
I mean, I don't know if that was the same time, but I've had to see it, so it's uncomfortable and it's really not cool. So. But I don't want to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever Kristen says is true, but it's not.
Has Sandoval tried to reach out to you at all? Has Sandoval tried to reach out to you?
He hasn't tried to reach out. I had to text him for one thing just to try to, because I thought for a minute I was going to be maybe helping with Ariana's dog, because she was going to be, when those photos came out that she was in Mexico living her best life.
Looked amazing. By the way, what a great dress.
I know.
I mean, I don't even like fashion. And I was like, this is really colorful.
I know. It's such a sleigh. So I did have to talk for just a brief text just to see if I was going to be taking care of the dog. And that, so it was just nothing. But, but fuck him.
Okay. But you guys all have to talk about how, like you said, in saying that this is like reached beyond reality show audiences into mainstream. Like Ariana, like all of a sudden there is so much attention on these people, including Ariana, including all of you guys. Has it been, because you've been around these guys for so long and you've seen the hype of this show and the fandom of this show, but this takes it to another level and it's based on heartbreak. And it's like, so like a really kind of weird, sick thing, but at the same time it's you just can't stop thinking about it. Has it been weird even for you, even with everything that you've been through with these people? Did this reach a new level of, not the word grossness, but insanity and tragedy?
The only thing that really, once I finally got to like spend some time with Ariana, both immediately, like, in the immediate aftermath, and then like recently, like post reunion, and like now that things are moving along and all this kind of like stuff is happening in a good way for her, but still on the back of heartbreak. It's it's just so weird. So the only thing that nothing changes for me. Of course, nothing affects me like that, except for the fact that it's just like people will tag me and stuff, and it'll be like, oh my gosh, like LOL, look at this picture of like her Rachel looking like Voldemort guy, and it's like I just don't care about that stuff. I mean, I'm so not even disappointed. Like, I just cannot believe how filthy and disgusting they are that I just can't find the humor in it. Like, I do think it's very funny that I was tipsy yelling "fuck you" at the screen, but I think it's more important to remember, like, those "fuck yous," there was a reason why they were so guttural and so visceral, and why people are in the comments were like, I don't know, this kind of feels like bullying. It's like, no, this is my first time letting out rape. So it doesn't affect me personally. I'm not going to say like, oh my gosh, Ariana's, trauma is affecting. But we've always, ever since I worked on the show, I mean, like, people will call me, like, one time Page Six was calling us before Brittany and Jax's wedding. So like that's kind of stuff always happens with this. So that's kind of like whatever.
But this is, I just didn't know if you noticed this was another level. Like,
it's really weird because I have been reached out by people that I'm like, wait a minute, like makeup clients of mine that are like on sitcoms and stuff. And I'm like, wait, you're texting me asking about the inside scoop? Like you're on like a hit ABC sitcom with like oh my god, this is, and that's
President Biden's like, Jared, what's up? Anywho,
so those are the moments where it's like, oh, I guess this really is, because I'm so used to being like even when I go on dates or like dating apps with people and they're like, oh, what kind of makeup do you do? I always say like, oh, it's kind of a niche makeup. I do reality TV. I'm like, oh my god, like what kind? Like, you know, now Housewives is pretty prominent, and Bravo's prominent. But for a while, it's like, what kind? Like, but you know, Big Brother, like Kardashians, like, you know, so I always kind of viewed it as like a niche thing. And now it's definitely, I'm like, holy shit, this is no longer a niche thing. Like, this is like, I love to subscribe to, I can't remember which one it is, but they have vulture.com. It's like the New York Times or something. And it's like, they're covering it now. And it's like, I was like, that's where I go to read my Oscar coverage. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it really is wild for being a long, like, Bravo fan from the beginning. When it hits this kind of cultural zeitgeist moment, it hits the Britney Spears stuff. Did you see, by the way, this is a great entrance into Britney, and I sent this to Logan on the day of, it was like a picture that Ariana, or was something Ariana positive or some, I don't know, Bravo posted it or whatever. And I noticed Jamie Lynn Spears wrote Team Ariana, and I sent that to Logan. I was like, oh no, Jamie Lynn Spears, no, we want Britney Spears saying Team Ariana. No offense to Jamie Lynn, but you know, like I was like,
also like tagged or post about the sandwich shop, something about her. Hey, listen, we'll take the promo. But no, Jamie Lynn is such a Vanderpump fan. Like I remember when I was like, when all the Free Britney stuff was breaking, was right around the time before I got sick, and I was still kind of working with Stassi, and I'd be like, Stassi, say something about the Free Britney stuff, or have me on your podcast to do it, and all this stuff before she got canceled and everything. And she'd be like, no, Jamie Lynn follows me. Like, I don't want to like be mean and like feel like she's like, and I'm like, fuck that bitch. Like, she's literally profiting off of her sister's like literal pain and suffering.
Okay, well, just to remind people as we shift a little bit and what you were on, and we've talked about this the last 2 times you were on, is that, can you explain your involvement in the Free Britney movement, if you could? I mean, I know it's been such a long period of time for her, but how did you get started in the Free Britney movement leading up to today a little bit?
Longtime fan, always knew about the conservatorship, always just very into the celebrity culture, especially the Britney Spears of it all. Like, you know, so always knew about like just the oddities of it, thought it was weird, was harassed by her security guard one time at a show post conservatorship, was told from a friend who did her hair that she would come over sometimes and like she didn't really need her hair done and just wanted a friend to come over, was told, you know, just heard all these stories along the way that always made me question, like, is Britney Spears really happy? Whatever. Fast forward to things start really happening when Britney Spears disappeared off of Instagram. And then it's like, where's Britney Spears? And the last paparazzi shot of her driving, which I remember knowing, like with her conservatorship being like, oh wait, she's not allowed to drive. That's weird. Anyways, this whole hoopla started. Then it's like, she was put into this facility, and then the Free Britney movement was essentially kind of started because of the zeitgeist of it being revealed that she had been put in this movement or in this facility either against her will or perhaps coerced, or it was very all confusing. And so that's kind of what started it. And I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2019. I was in between transplant and getting sick, so I had a lot of downtime to do my research on the computer. And so I connected just like a lot of people did during pandemic time. We connected, and before it became so big as things like this often do, we were the Free Britney movement itself remains very organized. But we just started with a simple protest at the wrong courthouse because we didn't have this, we didn't even have the right people to tell us like where to go. And so, but us protesting like, hey, something's wrong with Britney Spears, like Free Britney at this WeHo courthouse. Someone saw it and DM'd and said, oh, her case is actually at the Stanley Moss courthouse. I can help you guys with it. And then we were actually able to gain this really amazing, intelligent group of people who were able to fire out on all cylinders. We had social media, we had press, we had lawyers keeping us up to date in layman's terms to understand conservatorship law. And, and then eventually it went in our favor, believe it or not, because of this. In a documentary, a conservatorship lawyer said that in her career, she has never seen a conservatorship dissolve. The likelihood of it happening is like 99 or is like 0.0001% or something. It never happens because it's usually for people who are in a vegetative state that are never going to come out of it, which is also a whole nother fucking weird thing why she was put in the first place. But it was dissolved miraculously. And since then, we've come under a lot of flack for, oh my God, because
this is the
media loves to blame a woman for anything,
This is part I wanted to get to is that, I see a lot of listen, I love a good I love a good gut punch joke. I love a good, I like me personally, I was going to tell you earlier, like I have the emotional makeup of a 9-year-old. So I can only express my emotions through memes, like making Sandoval memes about how much I hate Sandoval and Rocky Rachel. Like I'm emotionally immature and I try to take my thoughts out and I try to make a joke of it. The Britney Spears thing for me doesn't even ring funny, or I can't make light of it. I can't find a way in humor wise, because what I'm seeing now is that we got the conservatorship dissolved. And now I just hear people complaining and bitching about what she posts on Instagram. Is she a clone? Is she dead? I saw this appearance. She doesn't look well. She does. And I just want to tell people, I always crack up because everybody's I'm like, have you seen some of your guys' own Instagram? It's awful. Like my own Instagram makes me seem completely batshit. So the thing is, with freedom, we might not really be able to use it the way that you want us to use it, but freedom is freedom. And you're able to post. The freedom is for Britney to be able to post whatever the F she wants on it.
Isn't that a wild fucking concept?
But also, yeah, that's the thing. And also, you can worry about her mental health. I worry about her mental health. I worry about my own mental health. But the thing is, that's part of being free as well, is hoping. And Matthew Rosengard, is that her attorney?
Mm-hmm.
Is that hopefully he's put an actual team of people in place that can help with these things. But what is your take on this? Because now we see, she needs back in the conservatorship. Maybe the conservatorship was the right thing to do.
Let me just first say that the Free Britney LA chapter, we have little chapters and whatnot.
You guys have chapters?
We're very organized. Okay. And our Los Angeles one, which is where Britney Spears' case happened, we did get a bill. Gavin Newsom signed a bill into law that I think went into effect this year, 2023, that will protect people and will do more due diligence before just slamming them into conservatorship. Because you are supposed to get a 5-day warning, but somehow, mysteriously enough, Britney Spears' father and his attorney and this creepy church lady were able to convince the judge that if she found out about the 5-day period, she might pick her own attorney and prove that she's not crazy and didn't need a conservatorship. Anyways, so what we make of it now is, I've spoken about this on a podcast. I got a lot of fucking shit for it because I've always said, like, let Britney live. I have, we're very organized. I have sources. Obviously, we all have sources. It's not her husband. It's not her husband's kind of off-putting glam person who posts these weird stories about Britney Spears that it's like, you don't know her, we have a source. I wish I could say, because if I said it, everyone would be like, oh my God, she's referenced this person in her court. And everyone's like, I only want to take about the time she spoke in court. This person's been referenced. You wouldn't even notice that it's referenced. This person's been referenced. They said, I'm worried. I can't be the one to go out there and betray Britney's trust, but I would love if somewhere in the media we could just kind of get away from this narrative that she's in grave danger and just let people know she's taking a break from medication and she's going through a bit of I mistakenly it's not even my fault. I didn't realize when people heard the word psychosis or whatever, they would think that it meant like people literally like just running around like a psychopath. I have mental health issues. I have manic episodes, highs and lows, just from normal depression. So to me, it's like very calming to be like, I'm having maybe it's a misnomer or whatever, but like to say like you're having a psychotic episode is not unheard of, you know what I mean, in my vernacular or whatever. So she did have a period where she was off medication, according to my source. Can I confirm this? Obviously, I don't know Britney Spears. I am not her doctor. Did that lead to whatever? A little erratic behavior? I don't know, because the only video that came out that was posted by someone else,
the restaurant one,
was played in reverse by TMZ to make her look absolutely fucking lunatic. So
wait, that was played in reverse?
Yes, it was reverse video. It was absolutely filmed in reverse. Yeah, they had to issue, but they bury everything so you don't find anything, and then they can still keep the story up, and they throw in an allegedly, and they say, well, this is the video that we received, and then they don't have to really cop to it and anything. Well, people played it in internet people played it in the backwards and were like, wait a minute, all she's saying is like, leave me, like, don't look at me, or she says something.
Because people were picking up their phones in the restaurant and like photographing her and videoing her, right?
And also that's why it looks so weird that she's like jerking the menu weird, because it's filmed in reverse, so the actions are not normal. So she's not actually swaying and having like a twitch, like a clone or a robot having a breakdown or anything. She was literally annoyed that people were whipping their phones out and filming her. Now, listen, I've heard this from people who've worked with Britney Spears. She has not ever been able, because of the fucking conservatorship and not being able to grow as a person, she's never been able to kind of make a amends with her fame, if you will, and like kind of accept the fact that like she just can't pop into a restaurant like that. I mean, it's a nice restaurant here in the Valley, just down the way. But you know, it's more of like a high-end cheesecake factory. So it's like you can't just pop into a place like that. Like that's why she always has a better experience at Nobu most of the time, because if there's not a lot of paparazzi there, because that's more her scene. She tried to go to Catch in Los Angeles. That didn't work out for her because that's a scene. She just needs to find, you know, she's always had a Target taste, and they want to treat her to, you know, what's a designer? Givenchy gowns, but she just wants to meet somewhere in the middle, and it's just so hard to do because all eyes are on her. So she's just going through a lot, and I spoke out during that time to let people know that's all that was going on, because, you know, she's clearly... her doctors were mandated by her father and the court. So she had a lot of ill feeling towards the doctor. So of course, after being on medications and trying different things and all of this ups and downs of freedom, there was a spell over last fall where she was off of them. And, you know, whatever, we saw a little bit of erratic behavior on Instagram. And also then she started to address more, which, you know, healing is not a linear process. And this woman is going to have to heal. She's been abused. She's been traumatized. She's been spied on. It's a Kafkaesque nightmare. Her everything she recorded, every email she sent, every intimate moment she had with her boyfriend in her bedroom was recorded and reported back to Black Box Security, Edon, the head of that company.
Yes, I remember that whole bullshit.
So so if she said, like, I'm thinking about getting a lawyer, they would change her numbers. I've seen text messages on Christmas Day from my friend who did her hair being like, hey, I'm alone on Christmas Day. My family's all in Florida. Can I FaceTime you? And then she would write back and it turned green. And she's like, then the numbers just changed like a day later. Like, it's really fucked up what she's been through. And so people need to have grace. But here's why I wanted to speak out last fall and say all this stuff about the medication, is because Perez Hilton thought he was
That's what I wanted to ask you about.
He thought he was going to come in because he said, oh, I've got the gossip. I know exactly.
He said, I know.
And do you want to know what this little loser was going to say? Is that Britney Spears had AIDS. So I said, absolutely not. We're not playing this game. We're not getting mixed.
Wait, are you kidding me? That's really what he thought was going on?
It's not what he thinks is going on. He's pandering to a specific type of audience on TikTok, crunchy QAnon moms who want to believe that everything is about their children's blood being sacrificially drained and all this fucking bullshit, instead of just admitting the fact that Britney Spears is a broken woman who is broken by her non-Hollywood alcoholic father who you know, collided or colluded with a creepy
Who's that lady, the powerful lady?
Lou Taylor, whose entire career is based off of rehabilitating Britney Spears' image by basically giving her father the loan to put her into a prison of the conservatorship. She funded the lawyers that did that in 2007, 2008. And the rest is this horrific history that Britney had to endure. People need to give her grace. But when I found out that's where Perez was heading with that story, and listen, he never said it. So he can, you know, if this comes back to him, he'll be like, I was never going to say that. But it all ties back together into that same thing. Because guess what AIDS does? Incite gay phobia. Guess what? Who hates gays and trans people? All those right-wing QAnon people who, you know what I mean? So, and it all ties back to clones. And they're like, Britney was trafficked and Britney was replaced. And it just gets more and more insane. Instead of just saying, damn, maybe this woman has mental health issues because she was trafficked in a way, you know, she was forced to work and given a $2,000 a week allowance while her father made hundreds of millions. But
she has mental health issues of we all you're not going to meet somebody in life that at some point is not affected by mental health issues, whether it be a close family member, whether it be themselves. And I was even saying, I accidentally, I went to my parents for a week over the pandemic, and I'd forgotten my Lexapro. And I'm like, okay, that's not a big deal. Like, who cares? I can be off it for a week. And I got to tell you, by the 5th day, I actually podcasted during this. I thought I was going insane. And I'm not on a insane, like you guys, it was like zap, zap, like it was zap. I couldn't think. And I was so ashamed to call my doctor and go like, listen, I'm not trying to get pills or anything, but I do need and they were like, oh no, yeah, always.
They're not narcotics.
My doctor was like, you fucking idiot. You can totally do this. We don't want you to go. But I was so ashamed to didn't want somebody to think, but guys, it scared me. I had never been in a place where I was scared of just how my mind felt. It felt so untethered from any kind of grounding, like foundation, and it was so scary. So imagine that on a scale of being as insanely iconic as Britney Spears, going through the tragedies she's gone through, and then also on top of that, having mental health issues, some caused by the fame and some that she's just born with. That's like just a terrible cocktail that you have to deal with.
And it's interesting, the generational thing that comes into play, like her mother, her grandmother on the father's side died by a lithium overdose suicide or something weird, which is also, and she was committed. The grandmother was committed by her husband, Britney's grandfather. And it's very weird because now her father committed Britney and was also put on lithium, which I got a lot of shit for saying people don't take lithium anymore. But lithium is just not always a common drug for all types of things. I worked in a pharmacy for a little bit, and so I just remember lithium being in the area of the pharmacy of like, oh, the more like the medicines, like the old fashioned kind of medicines, like some people it still really works for, but like there's also a lot of toxicity that's involved with lithium, which is why other medicines are used for mental health these days. Cause you have to test for blood levels and all that stuff. And you can tell by Britney Spears' post when she starts talking about it, one of the most traumatic times in recent memories was when she was put away into that facility and when she was getting weekly blood draws. And she would say it was, she accidentally called it gallons of blood. And then people would harass her for that. No one can take 7 gallons of blood. And she'd have to address that on her fucking Instagram. Guys, I didn't mean 7 big gallons. I meant 7 tubes. But also, once again, is relating to someone, just, it's not hard to relate to someone. I don't know if it is hard, but for me, it's like, maybe it's because I went through the medical stuff. I know how traumatizing that is. I know how it is. Like I would be in bed every morning at 6 a.m. They'd come and take my blood and I just have to wake up whether I wanted them to or not. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah.
And I knew what was going on. I knew this was to help me. She was just in this like nightmare. And they're like, okay, you don't get any control. You don't get to leave the house. You don't have the keys to your car. You don't have a credit card. So she's just been through so much. And I just think, she's obviously not going to be normal, but also look at a child star that is. They're not. Christina Aguilera doesn't get up until 4 p.m. every day. She has blackout curtains in her car if she does have to get up.
Jared, that's called a hero in my book. That's not. That's called living a good life. What are you talking about? Like, oh my God.
I'm just saying.
Wait, finally. Wait, Sam Asghari. Where are you on Sam Asghari? Because that's the other thing you hear a lot about is her husband. Like, I get so tired of. And I like Demois, but at the same time, I'm so tired of like, you can't verify any of these things. Was the wedding real? Is this guy a good guy? He's the one doing interviews outside of his gym. Can we still trust this guy? Is he okay? Like, do you have?
Listen, I don't think Sam Asghari knew at 24 or 25 when he met Britney Spears on the set of Slumber Party music video that he knew what he was getting into when he began dating her. I think the fact that he has shown consistent loyalty, he's spoken out in defense of Britney. He's spoken against her father in alignment with Britney after she spoke out against her father. He's in a tough fucking position. And what's he going to do? If he goes and speaks out before Britney speaks out, he's profiting off of her. If he goes and gets a movie and makes his own money and, gets a role, he got it because of Britney. If he doesn't work and just lives Britney, he's K-Fed 2.0. I mean, he's really fucked no matter what. I think it speaks of volumes that he hasn't done anything. Of course we were going to be like, of course, how could he not know about the conservatorship? There were people who just thought, I've spoken to so many people since this that literally were told by the inner circle of the team. This was the lie that was told. Okay. If Britney comes into contact with alcohol or drugs of any nature, even Sudafed, which is the reason why one of my hairstylist friends no longer worked with her because she took a Sudafed from a security guard in front of Britney Spears. So she, I'm just gonna say allegedly because my brain's a little whatever. But that's the essence of the story. They said, and they terrorized people with this worry that if she had a sip of alcohol, she was such an alcoholic, she was such a drug addict that she would be dead. I had someone tell me this. She would be dead within 48 hours of the conservatorship being lifted. We're going on 2 years.
Okay, so I just don't want that Sam to be in any more Randall Emmett movies. That's all I'm going to say right there.
Oh my God,
no more Randall Emmett movies. But and by the way, no more Randall Emmett movies entirely. Anyways, are you kidding
Randall
me?
Emmett.
Okay, so that's it. How do we support you? We know there's Be the Match, which you can actually donate to. Tell us a little bit about that.
Join the registry. So BeTheMatch.org is a nonprofit. It is a national registry that connects people like me who have blood cancers or maybe blood diseases that affect primarily children 5 and under, and your grandparents' age or our parents' age 60 and over, and then sometimes young adults like me. So BeTheMatch.org is a national registry that collects DNA samples. You just do a quick cheek swab. And you send it into their registry. And if someone is sick like me, you will get a notification from Be The Match. And you will, if you choose to save someone's life and be a hero, you will go get a blood draw. It is extended blood draw. You know, it's not just like going and giving like a 10-minute blood draw. Yeah. It's like a 7-hour process. But you know, what 7 hours in comparison to someo's rest of their life. You know, my donor did it. I got to meet him last year. It was so amazing.
There was like this really cool event that you can see on your Instagram.
I met my match. I met the man who saved my life and who selflessly donated his stem cells to me. But I encourage, the point is, as an ambassador for Be The Match, and as a gay man, I must say that Be The Match does not do any of the weird homophobic 1980s Ronald Reagan-esque AIDS scare. Like, anyone can join and Be The Match no matter of your sexuality, which is still an issue with giving blood, believe it or not. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but it's very fucked up. And the other thing is, only 5% of the people in America are on the registry, and it's completely voluntary. So there are little children who are just waiting for their match. Jason Momoa, my husband in my mind, his best friends, is waiting for his match now for 3 years of chemo. I couldn't imagine going what I've gone through. I had to do 6 months of chemo, and then I was able to find my match. So please. So you're telling me if all we would have to do, or I would have to do, is just donate like 7 hours worth of blood? That's just if you get the call that you are someone's match. So all you have to do right now is go to BeTheMatch.org, click sign up or register, whatever they click on, and then they'll send you a little mail kit with a little cheek swab, not even a COVID nasal swab, just a little cheek swab with all the instructions. You pop it right back into the mail, prepaid envelope, you mail it off to the registry, and it just sits there until you age out. At a certain age, you know, it's stem cell stuff, so at a certain age they're not as good. But so then you age out of the registry, and if you get called, then you can save a life. And there is a huge disparity between white people versus any ethnic minority. I'm talking 70% dropping down to like 20% less chances of surviving. So we need to get more people on the registry. That's why I'm so proud to be an ambassador for Be The Match. BeTheMatch.org.
BeTheMatch.org. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if you do get chosen, you get to sit down while they take that blood. You don't even have to do anything. You just get to sit there. So that's I love sitting. I love laying down. I mean, this seems like an easy thing. Okay, so finally, Jared, I still want you better get your podcast up and running once this hip is up and running fully, because you are so good at this. And then lastly, just to correct the mistake of that video, instead of saying F you to Raquel, can we together as a team say an F you Sandoval together? Is that in poor taste?
No, let's do it, but I don't say that name. I say Scumdoval.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. F you!
Fuck you, Scumdoval!
Fuck you, Scumdoval! Jared Lipscomb, ladies and gentlemen, at Jared Lips. Be The Match. I'm going to put all that information in the show notes. Come on, you guys. I'm going to sign up actually today to get a cheek swab. So do that with me. It seems like an amazing cause. We have our good friend Jared here.
I love to see when people join the registry. I can't explain to you the feeling to know that someone actually did it. You know what I mean? It's so surreal to be like, oh my God. And side note, one more good thing about Ariana and this badness. And I, you know, as a cancer patient, I have to find the silver lining. I've gotten so many messages when I reshared Ariana's post about Be The Match saying, oh my God, I'm on Be The Match because of Ariana. I never put 2 and 2 together that was you, until like they started seeing me, you know, kind of around during this resurgence of, you know, everything happening. Yeah. But so that's really special to know that Ariana still has that kind of impact. So, you know, it just means a lot. So it really, really does mean a lot as an ambassador and as a survivor who I'm still here because of someone's selflessness through Be The Match. So please, please, please sign up and definitely tag me. I'm so just honored anytime someone joins the registry, you know. Well,
hell yeah, you're still here and for a long time to come. So Jared Lipscomb, thank you. I love talking to you, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Hopefully not in a year again this time. Hopefully
yeah, it'll be very much sooner. Marissa will organize it for us.